Although the official campaign period only began yesterday, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono has been on the trail for weeks. He invited Dateline to join him on a whirlwind tour of Bali. Flying over volcanic Java, he tells me why he wants one of the world's most difficult jobs.
I want to change Indonesia for the better, based on our knowledge, our experience, our understanding of the nature of the Indonesian problems.
His first stop is to the site of the memorial for the victims of the bomb blast that changed this island forever. But why have you come here first?
It's good things to be remembered, that combating terrorism is unfinished agenda, and maintaining our security, protecting our people is a must. So I have to remember on the sad day that we suffered a lot in terms of humanity and security.
Yudhoyono is clearly a consummate campaigner, as comfortable with the Hindu Balinese as with foreign tourists.
Yeah, we have to improve the security. You could go anytime to Bali because it's a good place to see. Yeah. So good luck, enjoy staying in Bali.
Yeah. You know who he is?
No, I wouldn't have a clue, mate.
He's possibly the next president of Indonesia.
Oh, okay.
One of the main campaigners.
Oh, he's good, nice. Nice bloke. Cheers.
I asked him if he knew who you were. He said, I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, I'll do my best for them because we need Bali more secure and being a good place to see by our brothers and sisters abroad. So we'll do our best.
Yudhoyono is a retired general with an impressive CV. He was top of his class at military academy and was educated at military colleges in the United States. He served on UN observer missions in Bosnia and Rwanda. Like General Suharto, his rival presidential candidate, and in 1999 his commanding officer, Yudhoyono has skeletons in his closet. In 1976 he commanded the 305 Battalion in East Timor when the worst massacres following the invasion occurred.
Well, it's very impressive.
When I first met him, he was Chief of Territorial Affairs, in control of army units across the archipelago, including East Timor, still then under Indonesian control.
The formal attitude and policy of the commanders of TNI is quite clear, that our main task is to maintain law and order in East Timor.
Unlike Suharto, Yudhoyono was never tainted by the violence that followed the vote for independence. At the time, he was surprisingly candid about the relationship between the military and their murderous militia.
But I'd like to tell you that almost 24 years, there is a good relation between the militia and the military and the police. I think the closeness is one of the reality now in East Timor, that trust us that the TNI and the police will play a positive role in maintaining law and order.
Since retiring from active duty, he's served in the cabinets of both President Abdurrahman Wahid and as current President Megawati Soekarno Putri's Chief Security Minister. He resigned a few weeks ago to concentrate on the big one, the presidency. And at least here on the streets of Kuta, ordinary people seem to like him. But the big question is whether Indonesians are ready to elect a former army general as president. Graffiti all around Jakarta is a reminder that this would have been unthinkable in the immediate aftermath of the Suharto years. But 5 years of civilian rule, with its economic stagnation and political turmoil, has seen widespread opposition to military rule die away. These days, only the die-hard activists are raising their voices against former generals like Wiranto and Yudhoyono. Yudhoyono is sensitive about his military past. As he and his running mate, Yusuf Kalla, registered with the Electoral Commission, he was keen to stress his democratic credentials.
Tadi pagi dalam deklarasi politik yang saya lakukan, saya meminta justru jajaran TNI dan Polri netral dan tidak berpihak dalam politik praktis, terutama dalam rangkaian pemilihan presiden dan wakil presiden ini. Mundur,
Back in Bali, Yudhoyono has a dinner function to attend. 500 people were invited, almost 800 showed up, and that's not counting the journalists. Many of these business leaders in the tourism industry want Indonesia's reputation as a new democracy to be preserved. But they also want the political and economic stability that they think only a former general can provide.
Dan politik yang tegas artinya kami tawarkan solusi bagaimana politik lebih demokratis, HAM dihormati, tetapi dalam lingkungan yang stabil.
The recurring themes in his campaign are peace, justice and prosperity. Earlier in the day, while pressing the flesh at a Balinese market, Yudhoyono told traders he would bring the security they need to prosper.
Apa yang dirasakan di sini sekarang?
Ya, kenyamanan.
Aman ya. Apalagi nanti kalau makin aman kan makin
Ya, mudah-mudahan lah ya.
makin aman gitu ya.
Ya.
What exactly he has in mind to improve their daily lot is not yet clear. Policy details are thin on the ground.
Are you listening? People want economy and also security. Both are important. We improve the security situations, and with that kind of good security, we could further enlarge the business activities and the economic development in this region.
Like election campaigns around the world, it's more about personality. On this front, he seems to be doing well.
Ibu gimana? Sudah tahu namanya kan? Sebelum kesini sudah tahu?
Udah.
Jadi apa tahu mengenai dia?
Nah, cuma gantengnya aja.
Pak Wiranto juga ganteng kan?
Ganteng.
Jadi?
Semua cowok-cowok ganteng.
Maksud saya? Ayo.
Yudhoyono's wife is the daughter of Sarwo Edi, a notorious general under Suharto involved in the anti-communist pogroms of 1965. Mrs. Yudhoyono seems ready enough to take on the role of the dutiful First Lady.
Everybody says your husband's very good looking, huh?
Thank you.
That's why they say they'll vote for him.
Alhamdulillah.
Although Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono has been an important ally in the American-led fight against Islamic terrorism, the war on terror is a sensitive issue in Muslim Indonesia. Yudhoyono's natural support base is secular and nationalist, but he needs to appeal to Muslim voters as well. In an interview about sectarian violence in Ambon and Poso 2 years ago, when he was Chief Security Minister, his defense of Laskar Jihad, the Islamic vigilantes who attacked and killed many Christians, raised a few eyebrows.
They also play roles in defending truth and justice that is expected by Muslims in Indonesia.
Justice is a recurring theme in his presidential campaign. But as he's leaving Bali, I ask him about his stance on justice for the victims of the many instances of military excess in the past.
Would you be prepared to try former soldiers who have committed human rights abuses in the past?
One thing to be understood by the world, that legal process on soldiers, officers who were committed to crime, at least who are suspected to be committed to crimes, are also done by our institutions, legal institutions I mean. Say the ad hoc Human Rights Tribunal for East Timor, Tribunal for Aceh case and other cases in the past. And I think this is a good sign that we will continue this process, but of course we have to go to the supremacy of law. There is a mechanism, there is a procedure, and cannot be intervened by politics at any means.
The other difficult issue for the retired general is what to do with his former boss. 83-year-old Suharto, the five-star general who came to power over the corpses of 1 million Indonesians, is reportedly too sick to face court for his monumental plunder of Indonesia. But he wasn't too sick to take the long walk to vote in the recent parliamentary elections that his former party won. During his 32 years as president, he and his cronies stole between 15 and 35 billion US dollars. Most of these cronies survived his fall from grace, and amongst the list of presidential candidates, most were integral players in maintaining his grip on power, including Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono.
You say the first priority is eradicating corruption. What's your position on the biggest corrupter of them all and his cronies?
I respect the supremacy of law, and if there is enough evidence that someone is committed to the act of corruption, then he must be brought to justice. It's quite clear. There will be no discriminations on that.
But of course I'm talking about the former President Suharto. What's your position on the allegations against him?
I think the legal process is underway, and the problem is based on the medical report that Suharto is incapacitated and is not able to proceed with the legal process. But politically, actually, the legal process is underway, and if he is found guilty, then he must be punished. But of course, from the humanitarian point of view, from the political and social dimension, the people may think differently. For example, to give him a kind of amnesty. So I try to review the ongoing process of the legal process on Suharto.
Despite reinventing himself as a Democrat, if elected, he is unlikely to rock the military establishment he emerged from. But then perhaps the military too would be less likely to work to destabilize his government, as they have with the past 3 civilian presidents. And what about his stance on the often problematic relationship with Australia?
How important is the relationship with Australia?
Very important.
Why?
I dedicated my time and energy in the past 3 years to normalize the existing relation between the two countries after East Timor incident, because we are close neighbor. We have to cooperate in many things, and I do believe that if our relations is good, so we could overcome issues related to West Papua, for example, on East Timor, on illegal migrants, on could be the issue of terrorism. We have succeeded in developing cooperation in combating terrorism post-Bali tragedy, and we have to maintain that kind of situation. So for me, we have to strengthen and to enlarge the framework of cooperation between Australia and Indonesia.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.